So we're going to go from federal to local level here. Really happy to have Hakeem Brown, who is running for mayor of Vallejo. Hakeem, we're going to give you like 1 to 2 minutes to give us your little bit of information about you and who you are and your stump speech, and then I'll get into the questions.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me this time. I am a Vallejo native. I'm also a current council member, delegate for the Democratic Party, as well as legislative chair for the African American Caucus for the California Democratic Party. But really just a man of the people. I think that for me, politics was never something that I was interested in, never wanted to be in politics or be elected. I think that it started with advocacy within the cannabis industry, seeing that the people who were elected really did not represent my values, not just when it came to cannabis, but a number of different issues, not seeing enough movement on, to me, progressive values and addressing the needs of the people. And I think that led me to run for a delegate for the Democratic Party and then city council. And here we are. And I think that for me, my success will be measured by what I am able to do to address a lot of these systemic issues when it comes to education, opportunity, housing, and really changing the dynamics of our city, as well as addressing police reform. As someone who knows all too well about police brutality, so I think that I'm excited about the future, excited about this campaign, and ready to get the job done.
Excellent. Yeah, I was very excited to see when you decided to step up and run for mayor. I think it's a big thing for our industry, as well as, for activists as well. So our first question for everyone is: what is your favorite product or way to ingest, your favorite cannabis strain or favorite cannabis story?
I'm a Bay Area guy, so I'm going to be partial to some cookies or something with some color on it, a little cold, indica. I think gelato is another good one that I think is kind of a little bit do everything hybrid. I like flowers, but I also like a lot of the the cartridges and things like that are coming. I think 5 to 10 years ago, those things were not effective at all in my mind, where now they are. And I think that, but yeah, I'm cookies kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. It's been the lockdown's been nice in that, I've been able to kind of go back into flower in a way that you couldn't walk into all your meetings smelling like flower.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. That is very, very true. And I think overall, I think that America might need to say that we're getting more production out of people being home and, being able to be themselves and take care of themselves. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been a lifesaver for me for anxiety and having a toddler at home.
Oh, absolutely. I hear you on that. Toddler now. Wow.
I know.
It was just a newborn.
Yeah, wow. I know. He loved you.
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful eyes. I remember that about him.
Yeah. He works them. He works them well.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the current state of cannabis?
Well, I think it's we're in transition. It's a dynamic time as we are continuing to evolve as far as from an industry standpoint, and really having a statewide program, more legitimacy, being more we're all navigating those opportunities and pitfalls when it comes to just having to go before planning departments and having to get projects approved and things like that. And I think that's a good thing. That's kind of the sacrifice where before, if you knew that you were following state law, you could buy a warehouse, set up, make sure you have your paperwork right, handle your business, and now you're producing. Well, now, you have to go through the planning department, this, that, the other, and it could take a very long time, but that's the cost of legitimacy, I think. And as someone who comes from, I mean, this is this is what I do. I've been a grower since I was probably 12. It's probably my passion. It's nice. I will trade. I mean, does regulation take longer? Yes, but I'm able to sleep at night. Don't have to look over my back or worry about being rated as much. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. And I know you're in Richmond, right? And
So I have a cultivation in Richmond that we've been working on for a long time, as well as a dispensary in Vallejo, and working on cultivation in Vallejo as well.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I remember the Richmond. I had a client I was taking through the process in Richmond, and they did an entire repeal and replace of the ordinance in the middle of the application process. It was like trying to figure out what you're supposed to turn in and all that. As that was the beginning of 2017, I think. So
yes, it's been a real challenge.
Yeah, it really has.
Real challenge.
So we talked about this a little bit, and maybe you want to get more specific about how you can affect the changes that you want to see in the state of cannabis as mayor of Vallejo.
Yeah, I think number one, let's not fool ourselves. There's still a stigma, whether we like it or not. We know there's a stigma just by how sticky some things are, and sometimes the progress or lack of progress when you see other industries moving at a different rate. I'll never forget it. One of my colleagues who's on council said that they, personally would have a problem with a cannabis dispensary owner being on council, and that was a very eye opener to see, because it told me, well, if you have a problem with me, how can you really understand our industry if you're still operating from this is wrong, this is bad, that, and you haven't educated yourself, which is very concerning. So I think that, from my position, it really is to remove all stigma and really start operating just from a business level. And that's something that I've talked to the city manager about is, let's look at our current ordinance, and let's find, you can obviously see the areas where people's own beliefs and conservative beliefs affect our industry, such as our hours of operation. The state will allow you to be open till 10 p.m. Why are we closing at 8 p.m., and particularly when the city needs that revenue? Who made that decision and why? And so it's really about removing those stigmas and making sure that we're being treated. I think that, as much as I can, I think leadership starts at the top. Being a mayor, I will definitely be able to point those things out. And make sure that we are treating this industry like any other industry, and holding ourselves accountable for it, so that we can be successful. Like I said, there's very draconian attitudes towards our industry, even to this day. And I think that people seeing, a dispensary, I could only imagine the effect that, a dispensary owner being on council has on our police department, has on our city manager. I think that I've been able to show that I can hold my own and even excel, and no different than any other dispensary owner or business owner. Cities are run like, they're a business, not in the business of making money, but the business of taking care of the community. So guess what? People who've owned small businesses, who know how to try to keep themselves in the black, are going to excel, I think. So.
Yeah, exactly. It is really hard to see that even in an area like the Bay Area, we have these stigmas built into our code. And they didn't need to reinvent the wheel. If it's a product, it's a product, and that's a small business. And do you not trust your own land use to keep citizens safe, that you have to recreate this whole thing for this, for this new industry? And so we've got a question from our Q&A here that says, would you say our industry has set the bar for all industries?
I actually would. I think that anytime innovation always leads. And I think that our industry, compared to a lot of other industries, whether it's the restaurant industry, services, goods and services, things like that, we're new, we're going to be innovative, we're going to be creative. We are more in touch with the people. This isn't old money where the same people have been in power. This is still a way for someone to be able to carve out a living for themselves. So I think that we are leading the charge, and there's a lot that can be learned from the way we see the world, which isn't the way that I think a lot of industries, we've had to be creative as in this industry. We've had to learn on the go. We've had to learn not only about cannabis, but about everything else, whether it's politics, whether it's industry, manufacturing, distribution, marketing. So I do. Actually, that's a great question, and I would agree, yes.
Yeah, great. So yeah, what are some current things? I mean, I think really being out there and serving and all of that is certainly part of it. But so it says, what are the current gestures that have been executed from authorities for the betterment of cannabis in the hemp industry?
Well, I think that obviously law enforcement in general, knock on wood, treats our industry differently than they did 5 years ago, which is important. And I think that shout out to those pioneers who really fought the good fight and fought those cases that needed to be won, so that law enforcement could see that, this is state law. And even if you were used to, I don't care if you spent 20 years chasing us, we are now a legitimate industry that actually provide a service to this community, essential service to this community. And I think that has really caused law enforcement, whether you got on board early or you get on board late, you at least have to realize that you no longer can treat us like we are drug dealers and things like that. I think that's very, very important. I still have friends who suffer from PTSD from being raided. I've been raided numerous times, and it's good to hear a friend of mine, he's trying to get regulated. He's in cultivation, and he, basically said, yeah, well, they shut me down. I was like, whoa, what happened to you? And he said, oh, well, they came by, they gave me a fine, they, shut everything down, turned off the power. Hate to hear it, but at the same time, I'm glad they're not busting down doors. This is a family. You don't want to see them busting down doors, separating families and things like that. So I think that's really been the biggest change that I've seen.
Okay, that you're seeing them treat it. That's not the case in all the counties in California. So it's.
And I agree. That's not. I was going to say that. I wish that was the case everywhere, but it's simply not. There's still a lot of conservative areas that are still fighting that stigma, and shout out to them who are doing it. Because we want to see more of that. I think that really is something. As we're talking about decriminalizing and making sure that we are respecting state law, we should start with that.
I think having an elected mayor who's in the industry is pretty huge. Since you are, I actually wanted to add one other question to you. What's your favorite strain to grow? What's
my favorite strain to go? My favorite strain to grow would be, as a grower, it would be gelato. As a farmer, you want to be able to produce a quality crop that has a high yield. And for the system that I use, I like gelato. It's a very high yielder. I like a lot of the Kushes, but Kushes, OG Kush tends to be very eccentric in general to grow, and it takes a longer time. I like something that's short and sweet, going to produce a good yield with high THC. And I would say gelato, any sherbet. I mean, personally, I like growing cookies. Huh?
I said, plus they smell so nice.
And plus they smell so nice. Purple Kushes, I mean, they're not as high yielders, but they're easy to grow. They're quick. They like dirt and water and sunlight and all those kind of good things. Unlike OGs, which are like this, it's like cats. I don't know if they like it. Are we coming? Are we going? What are we doing here? So, I think that those would be my favorite strains.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. If you wanted to maybe take like 30 seconds and say anything that I failed to ask you, and if you would drop your website into the chat so that folks can learn more about you. And
yes, I will drop my website into the chat. Just want to tell everyone thank you for tuning in. Thank you as well for putting this on and really educating people. And I do think that, as much as I like sticking to the cannabis industry, we still have to understand and be involved with politics. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. And please pay attention to my race. I think that if I win, I think I will be the first mayor of a mid-major city who is also in this industry, and look forward to really getting a lot of things done and trying to affect change in my corner of the world. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for being here, Hakeem.